All right.
Woo! All right. Welcome to Gab and Jam, episode 215.
Yeah, all right. That was a little sloppy. Now, Rod, just, sloppier than what I was ready to do, but it'll work.
It'll work. All right. Okay, so this episode piggybacks on not only a comment that we make all the time, but one that I actually heard repeated in the Creative Pep Talk podcast. The idea is learn to be the hero of your own story.
Well,
And so, let me say this. This episode is kind of broken up into two pieces because there are 4 things you need to understand before you get started working on your heroism. And then there are 3 levels for knowing which challenge you are facing and what to do about them, including action steps.
so why don't you define what that means as
Okay.
far as being the hero of your own
So
story?
you only get one life,
Yeah.
and you have to be the one to save yourself.
So soap opera says you only have one life to live, right?
Right.
All right.
Right. But then also, again, I guess I know personally,
Mhm.
I spent so many years waiting for someone to save us,
Okay.
waiting for someone to come along.
Captain Save-A-Hole.
Captain Save-A-Hole.
Okay.
I've been waiting.
Okay.
And so a lot of the things that I had been doing were just placeholders,
Yeah.
waiting for somebody else to come in and take over. I
Take
didn't
over
want to
that
really
part,
understand
yeah.
marketing. I didn't really want to understand sales. I didn't want to really understand connecting with an audience because I felt like somebody was going to say, you are a genius. I see your potential.
Right.
And I'm going to put you in the spot and I'm going to show you all that stuff and I'm going to do all that, the rest, the stuff that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And I guess, in the last few years, I realized if something's going to get saved, we're going to be saving ourselves. So
Yeah.
that's the hero
Yeah. So you kind of have to go
Embrace
ahead,
that.
Yeah, embrace that and be willing to go the whole way.
Yes. And so that's actually one of the things that you need to realize before you even get started on the work
Yeah.
is number one, you're going to have to take action. And I don't think we were, we didn't do that. I just think that we didn't take wholehearted action. As in, again, I would start something like, oh, I'm going to reach out, but then I wouldn't follow up. Or I didn't continue to reach out to those same people.
Yeah.
So there are things that because I was assuming that, hey, you reach out to this bunch, one of them in that bunch is going to see your potential. And we've seen that before. That happened with our record in 91 with the distributor. There was one person who heard the record out of all the people who weren't saying great things about it. This one person was all we needed. At the distribution house, he sold all the records and was ready for more.
Right.
And he was just one person that was like, this is the jam.
Right.
So,
I love it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to get all your records out.
Yeah.
And so he did it. And again, so we've had it before, but we just, continually, I kept waiting for someone else in other situations to step in and do that for us.
Or the thing is, if you do want to get someone else, then you got to understand that's going to be on your pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's going back to you. It's almost like the business plan and things like that you need in order to get a bank loan. You might not be getting a bank loan, but whether it's to get other people's buy-in, you got to have a very, very firm vision and be able to show that you believe in it, that you're going to go.
I was about to say,
that extra mile.
That actually is the second thing to realize before you start that mission is that you have to play the long game. That we were talking about that even if you get a record deal now, it may not be the thing that makes you last. You may,
Right.
and we've known people over the years who've gotten major label deals,
Right.
and now they're still out here in these streets looking for somebody else because it wasn't the thing that made them Prince or that took them to a level where they don't have to worry about a regular job.
But then again, that goes back to the other point, is that just because you do have a major label deal doesn't mean that the DIY aspect of what you do goes away.
Right. Yes,
so that goes back to being the hero again.
Yeah.
You have to still realize, okay, I got this team now.
Yeah.
But in addition to this team, I'm still going to give 150%.
Right.
That I
can do. Right. Yes.
So now all of a sudden it's your 150% plus the record company's 20%. and plus the record company's resources.
Yes.
But it may take you to tap into them to say, hey, I want this resource. I want this. I want, you know, and you may have to do a lot more legwork.
Yeah.
And again, along the way, you may find disciples.
Yes, and we love that. All right, so the third thing to remember before you even get started on being your own hero is that you have to be ready to tackle the as they come challenges, and we're going to talk more about that in a minute, instead of looking at the big picture, because sometimes it gets overwhelming. Again, right. you have to know marketing. You have to learn a little bit about making your own, mastering your own record. You have to, do all the things.
Right.
And sometimes if you look at that, and I think we've had friends of ours who have looked at the big picture and say, ooh, like that's a lot. Like, okay, I'll do that next year. I'll do that next time.
Right.
But if you just tackle, hey, today and I know for us, yesterday I had to send our first email to our new list that we're building for Bourgeoisie Paper Jam, and that it's a little overwhelming, but tackling just that little thing, I feel like, okay, a notch, I feel like a notch on my belt. I feel like I'm a little bit more ready for whatever the next thing is.
And, technology has always made everything a lot easier than what it has been before, and a lot of people don't realize that,
What do you mean?
That you have to be willing to take the steps as a DIY person, right? Even, like I said, once you get the major label help, especially now because there's technology. But let's just go back a long time ago, especially music goes. There's this More Than a Feeling by Boston, right? We hear that song, right? Do we know that even though that was a major label record, that's a DIY record?
What do you mean?
This guy did it in his own basement. You know what I'm saying? He recorded the stuff himself.
Okay.
He's a one-man band. He went out and he got a singer.
Okay.
That's Boston.
Okay.
That's the way Boston was made. Same thing with if you go to Prince's Dirty Mind. That's a DIY record.
Yeah.
Build a studio in his basement. He started cutting his own songs in his basement.
All right. So according to the Creative Pep Talk podcast, there are possibly 3 levels of challenge that you may be facing as a DIY rock star. And they give you some action steps to know what to do if you're at that stage of the challenge.
Okay. And what are those?
Okay, so the first question they have that you ask yourself is, do people even know you exist?
Right.
And if you're like, we were, over 30 years ago, that was where we started. And luckily, we had the name Prejippie, which was very iconic way before social media. But if you Google Prejippie, you will see links dating back as far as long as we've been on the internet.
Because there's always been a web presence.
Yes.
We've always had some type of web presence somewhere. So, whether it was through mtv.com, the old Garage Band, Broad Jam, and several other types of media services that were out there, we were always had some type of presence.
Yes. And then of course in the past 5 years we ramped that up even more because again we got on over I'd say over 35 different social media profiles. And if you're not sure about that, Google it and you will see all the dirt, right?
Yeah. We even have a MySpace page.
We do, right. So if you're at that point where we were, what Andy J. Pizza says do is to go where they're sharing, where your people are and where they're sharing your work easily. And at this point, it's probably places like TikTok.
Right.
Because the barrier to entry into sharing
right
now is very wide open.
Yeah.
It used to be that way on Facebook and Instagram, but now with algorithms and all that, they've kind of narrowed it down and figured out who they're gonna share your work to. So TikTok is a good place. So his first step is scout out new locations and start sharing content there.
Yeah.
So that's the first level of challenge. The second level of challenge, as you are being your own hero, is the question to ask yourself is, do you have any true friends, fans, or are they just followers? So what he's saying is, just like when we first started, we were taking out those Facebook ads and we were getting shares and likes of our video, Hero, but we didn't feel like it was true engagement. We didn't feel like they were talking to us. So like they just liked the video and they liked the song, but there was no like, hey, let me hear what else you have type of
no
engagement.
Real engagement.
Yeah. And so if you're at that point, what he says is figure out what goal you want, name the value you want. So what do you want? And for us, we wanted true engagement And then we wanted people who wanted to ask, hey, want to know more about us. And then create 10 things in the next 6 weeks to make this kind of art.
Right.
So, and I would say that for sure we have done that through the artist mentoring program. And now we actually feel like we have a group of people that we can go speak to.
Right.
So that was our second level of challenge, and that is being your own hero. And finally, the last question is where we're at now is, are you making money from the people who are your true fans? And so that is kind of, we're figuring that out right now, trying to figure out what offers, what do they want to hear, what do they want to see in order to convince them to reach into their pockets.
Right, yeah, because that's going to show that you have a true connection with them.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so we're still working, we're tweaking that and working on that. But what the Creative Pep Talk podcast says is find products that you can offer where they can show their commitment to you. Identify the product and then and do more offers, to figure out what that is. And that's we're kind of at that stage right now. But that is the way that we're going to continue to be our own hero. We thought these were helpful, especially as DIY rock stars. This is a path that is very unique. If you are planning to grow your creative influence, and no matter who comes along to save you, you've already engaged in saving yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So you're being the hero in your own life. Okay. Plus it has actionable steps, and we like that. Okay. And so we hope you find this helpful. Which tip did you like the best? Which stage of the challenge are you at now? We'd love to hear about it. Drop it in the comments section below. And what else?
Yep, and as usual, Sugar Fit is available for streaming. It's available for the CD if you want to get it from Amazon. You want to get it from CD Baby. You want to get it from Bandcamp. You want to get it from us. Just let us know.
Just let us know. Next episode, make sure you check it out, is how to create a music-related content calendar. We're going to go through the steps. And if you dig the vibe and you want to be a part of the tribe, be sure to
subscribe.
We're wishing you love, peace, and
chicken grease.
Yay.